Hi, welcome to Into the Heart. Recently, I facilitated this date night called Couples Night Out, and it was an event at a Catholic church, Catholic community. So I commented on and made reference to confession. Now, most of us, Christian or not, are aware that Catholics and Orthodox have this thing called confession, and we're aware of this common caricature that's not very generous. But let's take a look at it. Where the person feels bad because they did something bad, and so they go to the priest, and then their guilt is relieved, and so they don't feel bad because feeling bad feels bad, so they want to feel good, so they go to confession, and then that fixes that. But then they carry on doing the same thing. It's like we all know not that's not how it's supposed to work. That's not what it's about. And I bring this up because, Catholic or not, all of us have something to gain with this concept of confession in terms of what it's actually about. And this is the thing: when our loved one has offended us or done something upsetting, even maybe unintentionally and whatever, it can be tempting to just kind of flip our lid and start uh, ranting around and swinging the logs in our own eyes around because we're upset about the speck in theirs. And in the midst of swinging our own logs around, we are prone to maybe doing something that could be considered sin, and so maybe confession would be appropriate. But here's the thing: what's worse, the speck of what my loved one did, or if I go so far as magnifying the logs in my own eyes? So, confession is a beautiful thing in principle and practice because I look in the mirror. If I'm getting annoyed with my spouse, and I would highly recommend this, I think this is highly uh, understated in marriage conversation and literature. If you get upset, go look in the mirror. You're upset at your spouse, go sit down, pull out a marriage or a marital examination of conscience. Okay, I'll put one in the description if you're interested, or you can Google one. Look in the mirror. Look at how or in what ways maybe you have not been living up to the love that you vowed to on your marriage day, on your wedding day. Okay, look in the mirror just honestly. It's not to beat yourself up, it's to settle yourself, and it's to look at the logs in your own eyes so you don't start tripping over them. All right. And worst case scenario, all it is that you might end up apologizing less because you'll commit less wrongs, or maybe you'll start apologizing more because you recognize the wrongs you've committed. And actually, that's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful way to start. If a conversation goes sideways, a beautiful way to come back after you've set a time out and said, let's come back after supper when the kids are in bed and let's talk about it then when we're both calm. And you come back after having looked in your own mirrors, and you come back and you say, hey, I realize X, Y, and Z. I'm sorry for that. And the other person says, I forgive you. And they do the same. And you have this moment of repair before you actually try to tackle the problem. Highly recommended. Okay, so, but regardless of if that's what you're going to do or not, look in the mirror. Consider how well you've been loving. Okay? Because this sets you up for personal responsibility. See, the thing is, when we rant about what my loved one has done or what so and so has done, well, there's a couple things there. One, slander. Slander is saying, uh, well, what the other person actually really truly did that was wrong or scandalous or embarrassing, or making it up. And we think of slander typically as what we tell other people. So I'm like ruining this person's reputation by spreading their failures around to everybody else. But sometimes we might manage to keep it up here, which is a real feat because the tongue has a way of getting away on us. But you know what? Slandering my spouse in my mind over and over doesn't do my marriage any good either, right? And so if I'm getting drawn into that and murdering my spouse's reputation in my mind, I got to look in the mirror, man. I got to get up and go look in the mirror. Look at your own self, the own logs in your eyes. And This is beneficial for a few ways, not just because you don't poison your relationship with mental slander. It's because it takes you out of victimhood. Because when we're stuck in complaining about our spouse, we are practicing victimhood. Poor me. Look what they did to me, or look what they did. You know what? Victimhood is helpless. Let's become agents of change, which means I am able to respond. So I will take responsibility for what I've done to create this situation. And so I look in the mirror, I acknowledge my wrongs, I apologize for them. And I don't just make promises about how to be better. I start being better. I start turning around. So I'm not just like that caricature where I'm just relieving my guilt by apologizing and I carry on. No, because you and I are better than that. And that's the other beautiful thing about examining our conscience. It's not about beating ourselves up or feeling guilty. Guilt is a good emotion, by the way, psychologically speaking, because it gets us to turn around. It gets us to stop doing the thing that is damaging to our lives or to others. And so I look in the mirror, I see where I need to turn around, and I start turning around with a firm resolve. And I take personal responsibility. So I apologize. I start to change. I'm no longer a victim. I'm not blaming other people. I'm looking in the mirror at what I can change or what I have done or what I could do. It's a game changer. Out of victimhood and into agency and responsibility. What is the best way to change the world? Complaining about spheres of influence that I have no control over, or focusing on the sphere of influence in which I have the most influence? That's a pretty obvious question or answer. Who do you have the most influence over? Yourself. I have the most influence over myself. Therefore, to effect change, my highest chances lie in focusing on my sphere or on the person of my most great influence, which is myself. If you want to change the world, or let's scale it back a little bit, if you want to start shifting your relationship, look in the mirror. You got to look in the mirror. It will calm us down. It will set us right. It will humble us, hopefully, enough to come and apologize sincerely and to reconcile sincerely with our loved one, and for there to be firm resolve to change. I change myself. I can start to affect and change my relationships. And that ripple effect can go out. And I tell you it's worth it because you're worth it. Have a great day.